idea what's doing this down and under, but it is time for Shiny Side Out with Dave and Mecky. So I hope you have your tinfoil hat all made and cinched down tight over your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mecky.
I'm Dave. And Mecky's not with us right now. He's got some technical difficulties going on. That's okay. We are Shiny Side Out. Broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's right. That's the website. That is home to fresh ideas and conversations. And you'll find those great conversations in the chat room where I'm just logging on now. I'm glad it's in the text, otherwise I'd forget. You can, like I said, you can join us in the chat while we're on air. This is show number 685, and while Mecky is presumably rebooting or something very similar, he would say 580 and 600. Tune in to us online on your smart device directly via an app, or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. Mecky, you are with me.
I am. Having teething problems on my Apple with Teams. It's all good. I've downloaded the desktop app. I was trying to use it in the web. In the webs! It did not work in the webs!
Oh dear.
Bye!
That's no good. So, if you missed Laris's show, she had Cyber Witch Cafe tonight, and her co-host was Niche. You can access the station's archives for free if you don't know who we are talking about. When I say Solaris Blue Raven, great host, always great guest, always great shows. And if you don't know who we're talking about, jump into the archives at the station. It's free, and you can download her shows, our shows, all of the hosts' shows, and maybe you'll find something else you like too. It's not awful. It really is not awful. Not as awful as what I'm experiencing at the moment. Yeah, there we go. I've managed to get at least, our names are back to front. I think every time, Mecky, this is a Teams anomaly. Whenever you create a call, you are first in the row. I use the view of whatever it's called, together mode. So it looks like you and me are at the top of a small, yeah, well, that's a small, whatever it's called again. So there you go. It puts us together on the same page. It also displays our full name. Every time someone talks, it shows their full Skype name. You can't turn it off for some reason, but that's okay. Nice glass of wine there, Mecky, and I bet it's a nice drop. I'm broadcasting out of Dark and Jung Country. Mecky, where are you today?
Direct country, my friend. There
you go. And we don't hear any booze when we say this, welcome to country. Because, we don't have any callers. They're calling in. That's okay. There's no booze coming from the chat room. However, if you're a political person on a campaign and you do welcome to country and you get booed, wow, there's some news for you. And I'm not going to bother doing a segue. Mecky and I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from whence we broadcast. Mecky. Crazy times ahead, crazy times in the rear vision mirror, and crazy times right now.
Yes.
Yes, and yes. There you go.
I tell you what, the number of things that have gone sideways or I mean, it's almost like you're you've just gone through the looking glass, right? And ups, down, and all of a sudden we all have newspeak, and words don't mean anything anymore. It's incredible. One thing, of course, stands out most for me, which is that Virginia Giuffre, I think her name is Giuffre, I hope I don't mispronounce it, has passed away. Now, actually a bit longer than a year ago, she did the same thing Dave and I do. We're not going to kill ourselves. Saying it on air. Not going to suicide. Doesn't matter what happens. It just won't happen. She said the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I know something happened in her life. She got divorced and she had an accident, I think, a car accident.
Yeah.
But,
did you know
she
there
has
was
3
denial? She posted a photo of herself with some considerable damage.
Injuries. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
the cops said
media said, it wasn't significant enough for her to sustain any injuries.
It's odd, to say the least. And the cops said the same thing, right? It wasn't that bad. I go, really? Okay. No, apologies. I got some water splashes on my shirt, just in case you want to get it's
That's
water.
What they were.
Okay, I didn't dribble down my chin. not yet. I get my little spittle cup, and I'll be good to go. My little spittle cup. I know, rag on a stick. No.
The Roman days, Mackie. The Roman days.
You know it. But she does have 3 young children, and yes, she got divorced after 22 years of marriage. But I mean, I'm going to say it because that's just what I think. In the same way that I don't think Bourdain or Epstein have committed suicide. I don't think she committed suicide. Really interesting though, the timing of it. Okay. Yeah. So Dave sent me a list yesterday of people. That list was actually published last January in 2024. It's just a list. It doesn't mean anything in and of itself. It's associated with Epstein and flights to the island potentially. Who knows? What we want, what Dave and I want, is the release of the actual files and who did what, where, and when. And we want to see the videos, right?
That's right.
Tapes. Of course, we're not going to. And Dave also found a really good site, and I don't know if you can share it with the chat or not, of, I guess, the FBI files that were put together for Epstein. And and I've looked a lot of the Freedom of Information Act sites, CIA, NSA, FBI, all of them, right? Because there's a lot of good information there really is. I mean, you have to dig a bit, and sometimes the photostat quality isn't great. You will see this in the second part of the show when we talk about some of the FOIA patent documents later on. Some things just don't make sense, but it's the quality of the photocopying. But it's there. It's not redacted. It's just bad photocopying, right? What they've found, there were like, I don't know, hundreds, and I'm not using hyperbole here, hundreds of pages redacted. And the pages deleted. And the pages that were shown were so redacted, it made no sense at all. It was completely pointless. This is with regard to Epstein.
I've pasted
so I don't think
she
died.
It'll be in the comments below the video.
Oh, good man. But see, Donald Trump was asked if he would release the Epstein files, right? I mean, I guess, I hope it's not those FBI files, Dave. I really hope it's not that, right?
It'd be a very
because
thin book.
It can't be. Yeah. There you go. But he can't. And I'll tell you why he can't. He can't because he is, at the very least, implicated. Yeah. Because they were friends. He has been on the plane, on the flights, and on the island, etc. Do we know what he did there? No, we don't. But if he did participate, if he was part of that whole get up, then, like I said before, the MAGA majority, his base, would never forgive him. It just I mean, because again, this was one of the main reasons he was voted in because he said he'll clear out the swamp, and part of the swamp was pedophilia, right? And the idea that the pedophilia rings extended all the way into Washington, with deep roots into the rest of the world, not just the country. And Epstein clearly was a facilitator, if not one of the masterminds. But anyway, we'll see. But the timing is suspicious, Dave.
Oh, of course it's suspicious. Any witness, Mackie, to any crime who, right before calling it out, I'm looking at you, HRC, etc., who suddenly all the witnesses just pass away on the night before.
Oops.
Yeah.
Where'd they go?
Yeah,
They fell out the windows.
That's slippery floors, Mackie, and open windows in winter of all times. Yeah, that's when I'm gonna climb out the window and clean the outside of the window. That's what I'm gonna do. My friend's wife actually did that. He came home one day. She was pregnant, and she was in the nesting phase of pregnancy, where everything in the whole house has to be perfectly clean, because mentally they know they're not going to get to it. And there's obviously another issue, which is that compulsive nature to have it clean because the baby's coming. And he came home, he drove into the driveway, and Paul knows who he is, and he saw his wife hanging out the second story window, cleaning the outside window. There was no roof space. This was just a window 2 stories up, and here she is with it open, trying to reach around and clean the outside. It was hilarious. He said he was mortified that she wouldn't take no for an answer and continue to do it despite him being home and offering to take over the role. So, look, back to it. There is a funny clip that I saw this week in relation to the organised, you could call it organised pedophilia, but it's rumoured pedophilia. In this case, Alex Jones is in the stand during his trial, and Alex Jones has made a lot of claims about a lot of things, and in the movie Conspiracy Theory, when he's being dragged out, Mel Gibson's being dragged out of his house, and he goes, "What was I right about?" The same kind of thing. Alex Jones is the guy who rattled people's cages that made them fall out of the mainstream media's gaze, and they sought alt media. They either stayed with him, or maybe they found him a little bit too much, and then they came to Revolution Radio and other sources as well. But anyway, saying that, there's a clip of some guys talking about this. Oh, did you see the clip with Alex Jones? And the prosecutor is saying, you've made a lot of claims to do with child abuse and trafficking, and in the government and of officials. And he says, "Oh, you mean like the Clintons and Pizzagate?" Right? He just calls it straight out. And Epstein. He says those, and it's like, then they cut it because they don't want to hear that. You don't get the reply from the prosecution, but it means it gets read in. That gets read into the transcription of the court case. I think that was very powerful that he should say it. But you can say a lot of things without having any proof, and it can be your opinion. But if you claim it as being like an institutionalized trafficking ring, like some people have mentioned, there's a lot of names in this list, but a lot of people have named, P. Diddy and the Clintons. They've named them. Epstein. I'm not doing it. I'm not naming them, but that's out there in the public space now. How big is it? I wonder. How how removed from reality are a lot of people because they become famous and then isolated, and then they're only finding friends groups in like-minded people. But does that then extend themselves into this other world where we're not part of? The main quantity of people, the majority of people in the world aren't part of this elite, like, what's it? Not Pimento Grove. What's it called? The Grove.
Okay.
Pimento Grove is the Simpsons bar.
Yeah, no, this is. It'll come to me.
The Grove. So there's rumors that people are practicing Satanism. They can do what they like. It's a free country. Are they sacrificing real individuals, or is it just an effigy of somebody? That's another good question to ask. I don't know. Doesn't it make you worry that it's much wider spread than these few named individuals?
Bohemian
Grove, that's right. So, of those few individuals that get named publicly, how extensive is it? It's like the selling your soul to the devil has been claimed by so many people, and there's clips of famous singers, for instance, claiming that they've done it to become famous. They'll sell anything to be wealthy. And it reminds me of The Wish. Is it The Wishmaster? I think there's a series, a TV series called The Wishmaster. It just reminds me of that, and how, ask yourself a good question: would you do any of those things to become famous? I'm going to say no for myself. Becky, you may not share my thoughts.
No, look, it's a very personal question. Everybody has to work it out for themselves, but I'm with you. There is a limit.
Mm-hmm.
Right, as to what you would or wouldn't do, I imagine. Right? And it wouldn't just be anything. It wouldn't just, funny enough, right? Even atheists have an aversion to selling their soul. It's funny, right? But you're gonna be worm fodder. Why you care? Yeah, but it doesn't feel right. So all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of people running around without shadows. No, it's certainly. Is
there a safety word? Cinnamon.
It's the safety word. Can I still back out? No, you've sacrificed the infant. Your soul is ours.
Sorry, I was making a Simpsons reference there, where the two entities with the lights off have declared there's a safety world, and cinnamon is the word, and Homer, they're yelling cinnamon, and he isn't, and I think that's really funny.
It is hilarious. My kids are just discovering it. But look, I would say very few people would say no to wealth. Do you know who would say no to wealth? Like people that were born into it.
Oh, yes.
They would say no to wealth,
mm-hmm.
right? There's no appreciation for it. If you're so poor you have nothing, you will take whatever you can, and you will do whatever it takes to take it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of circumstance. Selling your soul, though, right? Or selling out to the parasites, and I'm never going to call them elites again. That's a whole different level, and you have to. See, Faust didn't sell out for money. But they deal with this famous Faust, Dr. Faustus, the famous play. It's actually a famous story. But Dr. Faust, he was a really smart guy. He had studied everything, and Goethe wrote this play. And in it, the devil comes to Mephistopheles and says, what do you want? And he says, I want to know everything. I want to know everything. Because he didn't know anything. He studied this, he studied that, but he still didn't know anything. So the devil came and offered him ultimate knowledge, and he took it. So in his case, Dr. Faust's case, it was knowledge. that got him. Of course, it ended in tragedy because his soul was gone. He fell in love with a girl. It all ended not well. I can tell you that without spoiling the story. But I think everybody's motivation and price for selling out, to simplify the term, is different. Like for me, if someone came to me and said, all right, if you sign up with us, we'll tell you all the secrets. We'll tell you everything, whatever you want to know. Right? And my question would be, do you know everything, or is this just some kind of trick? I mean, if I sign up and you say, well, you don't really know anything, that's not going to help me. Right? So the question is, do you know anything? If you have all the answers, then yes, I'll sign up. Right? Whereas other people might be in a very different situation. Maybe family members of yours is quite ill, and they say, we got the cure. Here's the cure. You want the cure? We give you the cure, but you're going to sign up with us. Right? So I don't know, Dave. It's a tough one. How much of yourself are you willing to give up, right?
None of myself. I remember when I had a band, and we played a couple of gigs, played a six month gig at one place at a club during the day, and they liked us being there. It was fun. I went into a band competition, and I think we came second, and that was okay. But the people who came first, Becky, they had Rent a Crowd come to cheer for them. And their stuff was so generic or trope. What's what I'll go? It was just a trope, like dance music trope. There was nothing specifically interesting. It sounded good, but there was really nothing to it. It was maybe like top 40, dance music. It wasn't the underground world. So that was interesting. We lost to that. And what happened to them? Nothing. They disappeared. They didn't get a single. They got nothing. No record deals. They never performed anywhere again. And that was really bizarre. And I think about how this is the segue. I think about how that can relate to what we're talking about here, is because that's how my brain works. It just connects things together. It's against my own will. It does it. And that was that if they could, like backstage, have the devil standing there with a contract, they would have signed it immediately. Us, on the other hand, not at all. You've sold out, man. Right?
Yeah, you used to be cool.
Yeah, you used to be cool. That's right. When was I ever cool? That's irrelevant. We were doing it for the music, and I know it sounds so lame when I say it out loud, but we were doing it for the music and the experience, and making music that it was raw, really raw.
Yeah, we kept it real, man. It was rawhide.
It sounds so silly. That was 30 years ago, and it was fun, but never saw those other people again. I don't know. Did they sell out? When you hear in a music industry that someone sold out, I always thought it was they signed a contract with some place, and the record company usually whips you for a year, maybe 2 years, to milk you of every cent, and you don't make money then. You're making a small wage, but you don't make money on your sales. They recoup everything plus their commission, and plus whatever is undocumented. They make all of that, and then after you've made it through that part, then the next thing is you've got to make it on your own without their help. So it's not an easy road. The first album was 10 years in the making. The second album is 1 year, and you've had no time to do it, and you've got nothing to write about. That's what all the musicians talk about. That the first album is your life's work, and the second one is, well, we just pulled the handle, and an album came out, and it's awful. So, I didn't know about P. Diddy and him making people famous, and for what they had to do after midnight, apparently, according to the stories that people are now putting out. It's it's disappointing that if that's what it takes to make it, then no thanks, I'm good. Cinnamon, I'm going to yell repeatedly.
Cinnamon! Oh, that was last week. Oh.
That's not the safety word today. Right?
I'll tell you what, though, but there's some other strange things that have happened, right? I mean, there was a massive explosion in Syria. I think it was in the port
was
in
that
Syria.
at the dock, the grain silo or something?
Sorry, Iran. Yeah. It was a dock, like similar to what happened in Lebanon. So it was a huge blast that killed 18 people, injured 800.
Mm-hmm.
And they say it might have been a container that was mishandled or whatever. I mean, it's similar to what happened in Lebanon, in Beirut. When the
I'm still seeing
the building.
Of that.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a massive. And then, again, I come back to the lady that committed suicide allegedly, and the Epstein case. The Epstein case is going to be with us forever. And the funny thing is this, right? Trump has now said, I don't think Russia wants peace. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So is that right, Donald?
Pork
Is
chop.
that what gave it away? No, really, I want to know.
Is it the continued bombings?
Well, yeah, is it? Because that happened before. What broke the camel's back? What's the straw? What morsel of information, Donald, made you realize that Putin has no interest in any kind of peace at all, unless he uses it to regroup. But I will stand by what I said.
Ceasefires are usually just to clear your wounded out.
Yeah, clear the dead, clear the wounded.
Right. Yeah.
There's some guts over there. Just move when someone's going to slip on that. We don't have insurance for that. But what? But ultimately, though, there's nothing that is going to happen, because right now the plan that is being put forward by the U.S. as to what could bring peace, essentially has no concessions for the Ukraine. None. You are going to lose all the land that Russia has. Live with it. No, there will be no UN or even NATO peacekeepers in the Ukraine. No, that's not going to happen. You'll never join the NATO alliance. Having said that, Ukraine is pretty close to joining the EU, which could be a really good step in the right direction. Now, this plan is completely unacceptable to the Ukraine, of course. And the question is, how much more can Russia sustain? So what seems to be happening is the Ukraine seems to be targeting the generals in charge in Russia. Another one blew up yesterday. Dave, I don't know if you saw that. Another Russian general was blown up in his car.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah. I think yesterday or the day before he was targeted. So that's happening. Well, yeah, and certainly the Europeans are not going to be happy with Russia maintaining, I guess, what they've taken from the Ukraine. Interestingly, America is fine with it. The Trump administration is fine with it. That's what they want, right? And more and more comparisons to Hitler are being brought forward, like what happened during the period of appeasement when he took the Sudetenland, right, from the Czechs, when he took Austria, when he marched over the Rhine, etc., etc. All these things are being brought up. I mean, we didn't stop Hitler then. How different would the history of the world be if the Western powers had said to Hitler, no, you can't have the Sudetenland. No, you can't march into Austria. Right? Might be a very different situation we find ourselves in. And it's really interesting. I watch maybe too much news, and I watch everything from Fox to MSNBC and News Nation. I like Cuomo. He's interesting. And he has got Bill O'Reilly on a lot, interesting enough. They don't get on. I mean, they don't hate each other, but they have very different opinions, which I like to be brought out.
I disagree.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not. We're all individuals. But It's interesting to and then I'm lucky enough to be able to watch foreign language news channels as well. Very different reporting in other countries. Very different reporting of very different issues. Like there was an attack in India.
That's right.
Which killed scores of people. Right.
Yeah, I saw it.
It was hard to report it.
My favorite underreported here. Sorry, nil report. But I saw my favorite Indian news anchor lady who's moved from WION, WION, to her own channel now, and is doing the reports there for another brand. And she was talking about it. I had no idea. This was like half an hour ago. She was talking about this on Twitter, that there was a terrorist attack and it killed 18 people or something.
Yeah.
And tourists.
Wounded. Yeah. Tourists, especially tourists. That's right.
Yeah.
Completely underreported here in the West, obviously. But it's interesting. Like obviously, the Pope's death has overshadowed most reporting for the last couple of days, and that's why I also think her suicide is very suspicious under those circumstances, because it'd probably be buried, or it wouldn't be reported as much as it would otherwise. Though it has been reported, even front page stuff across the board, because I guess the Epstein story was just too big, right?
Possibly.
And it's just interesting to see where different countries focus their news interests. And it's very different from country to country, I can tell you that. It's in America, Australia, European countries, Germany, even I watch Fijian news, which are really interesting. It's fascinating. So I watch a lot of that stuff. And the one thing that is clear is that everybody is feeling the uncertainty. Yeah. There is no... the last 80 years, the world order that we're all used to and we were born into, Dave and I were born into, right? We don't know any different, is completely gone. Now, imagine, Dave, you and I had been born in 1890, for argument's sake, right?
Oh, what a great time.
Coming of age during the imperial era, right? The Russian Empire, the British Empire, the German Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Ottoman Empire, all empires, Chinese, Japanese Empire, right? And then along comes World War I, and all the empire. Well, most of the empires are gone. I'm going, what?
Yeah, I wouldn't have had that on my bingo card.
No, and then World War II comes along. Does the rest of the empires in?
That's right.
And here we are again after 80 years of a certain
Relative
world order.
Peace. Yep.
Relative peace. We are at a time which is experiencing accelerated change, and the acceleration came with Donald Trump. He accelerated look, I think this change was inevitable simply because of the way the world developed over the last 80 years. Right? It is no longer Western. China, Brazil, countries, African countries, they're finding their voice, they're finding their path, they're finding their place in the world. No longer as colonial or ex-colonial nations, but in their own right. Some are more successful than others. And that's a completely different world. So all the institutions that we have that were born out of World War II, I'm thinking specifically the UN and anything associated with the UN, but I'm also thinking IMF, okay? I'm thinking even, I guess, NATO, certainly. I think we have to rethink it all. I don't think the UN is representative any longer of you know what I mean? I don't think it is at all.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to...
And they're too weak.
Yeah. No teeth at all.
None.
Then the World Court, the ICC, International Criminal Court. I mean, so what? So unless the superpowers, and these are the big players like China, America, etc., Russia, unless they want you for something, no one is going to get gotten. No Americans, no Russians, no Chinese. Right. Not going to happen. I just realized yesterday Kissinger is still alive. He's 101. Did you know that?
Wow,
Henry Kissinger is still. Yeah, he's still being interviewed too, writing op-ed pieces.
Good.
And that's another.
That's right.
Yeah, I know, but that's another thing, right?
There's not
there are two things.
Grin. A wrinkled smile to the editor of Modern Bride magazine.
I'm channeling Dr. Strangelove in case
That's
you're wondering.
right. That's very funny. Hey, Mackie, there was another underreported story, really quick. Chernobyl nuclear power plant drone strike.
I heard about that.
Yeah, so this happened.
I don't know, but I
on the
didn't see much
14th
detail.
of February this year.
Yeah.
So there was an unmanned aerial vehicle hit the new safe confinement structure at the Chernobyl plant, reactor 4. That's the one that is basically like a metal dome, concrete paneled thing, and it's now got a hole so large that you could put an SUV through it. That's not good. Like, I don't care who you are, that's not good.
It's not good for anyone.
Well, they did find like a black fungus, like there's a mushroom that lives there that is completely able to survive without problem. How good is that?
I think that's laudable.
Yeah, and the animals themselves have. It's weird because they're saying that the animals that now can live to full age, despite the radiation, have a gene change to be able to live in that environment. And they're saying that humans have the same abilities than these wolves, I suppose, to be able to do this. And this is that rapid cataclysm reactions. So animals can survive in the harshest of conditions, but not all of them. And the ones that do survive weren't predisposed to surviving, but changed to be able to live there.
Yeah.
That's something new. We didn't have that eye on genetics until we started to look into it.
Look, there's a steady state theory of evolution. We've discussed this ad nauseum in the past, which I completely disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think it is punctuated equilibrium, if anything. And I think all the information that we need to do anything is already coded in our DNA.
Yeah.
Right. So what I mean by that is there's nothing new that comes to it. It's already there. And that's pretty much for all the organisms out there, right? And it is for the most part, again, this is what I think, an external event that accelerates evolution, like we saw in Chernobyl. The radiation, obviously high radiation levels. What happens? Well, most creatures die if they're exposed to high radiation. You die because it destroys your cells. But in certain cases, clearly, the organisms are able to absorb the radiation, and create a mutation within their genetic information to either absorb or somehow withstand, or maybe even use the extra energy, right? Like Hulk, when he was exposed to radiation, right? I mean, he absorbed the green
gamma rays.
I mean, that's gamma rays. That's comic book. But my point is, I don't think evolution, if it happens the way we think it happens gradually at all. I think it happens in leaps and bounds. That's why we don't have missing links. Okay, they don't exist. There's no missing link. There's no missing link. We went from here to there in a generation, or 2 or 3 at most. Because this is the thing, and I'm sorry for going off, but yeah, you brought it up, your fault. So the problem that I have is, if we lived in a steady state evolutionary environment, if the truth is that in fact evolution happens very, very slowly and it's completely random, that's important. It's completely random, right? Because what I think, when it's punctuated, it's not random at all. It's in response to something. Okay, our genes are responding to an outside pressure,
influence,
environmental change, whatever it might be, right? But if it were totally random, which is what science maintains, or accepted science, then where are the failures? Because the thing is this, I mean, genes can mutate all the time, right? And just if you look at the size of the genetic code and the mutations that can occur that are, beneficial as opposed to harmful, I think the harmful ones would outweigh the beneficial ones by factors, right? So where are all the failed mutations? I want to see three-headed humans. I want to see people that have branches instead of teeth. Okay, where are they in the fossil record? Because the fossil record would have to be littered with the failed genetic mutations. Yeah, and when I say failed, not just as a species, but I mean, people that grew tentacles instead of noses. Okay, I'm being facetious, but not really. Truly, I mean, if genetic mutation is a random thing, okay, which just happens, and then eventually the fittest will survive, etc. Because that's what evolution is: the fittest, not the biggest, not the strongest, but the fittest. Whoever fits the environment best will survive. That's what they say, which is fair enough. I get that, right? But where are the failed? Where are the mountains of failed evolutionary changes? Okay, the mutations that were completely random and wrong. Where are they in the fossil record? Where are the creatures that mutated to such an extent they couldn't even live, right? Or live very poorly? They died very quickly. Where are they in the fossil record? The only thing we find in the fossil record are creatures that were equipped to survive and well, right? There's nothing in the fossil record that would point to complete randomness. Okay, like having, like I said, 17 legs, and 5 heads, or whatever the case may be. None of it doesn't exist. It's not there. That's my problem with evolution, steady state. Okay, and I do believe that punctuated equilibrium is a lot closer to the truth. I think as humans, we have to accept that we were interfered with because our genetic code makes no sense at all in all the ways. We've discussed this again till we're blue in the face, Dave. We talked about why do we die? Makes no sense at all. We die because our cells reach senescence, right? Our cells reach a certain point where they no longer replicate themselves properly. Now, why does that happen? Because our telomeres shrink. Why do they shrink? Because telomerase is switched off. Why is it switched off? We don't know. Okay.
If you look at historical texts, that was intentionally turned off.
It was. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, I like to rock the boat. Dave we like to rock the boat, right? But you have to rock the boat because the commonplace answers, the accepted answers, are no longer enough. You have to look somewhere else for answers. You're going to find new disciplines. The scientific method is great for things you can physically measure and cut up and weigh and dissect and split into its component parts. That's fantastic because it's repeatable. You can do it again. If you've got a rock and you cut it in half, you will always get 2 pieces of rock, right? If you split the atom, the same thing is going to happen to you all the time. If you dissect the frog, you will always find the liver, unless the frog is faulty, it doesn't have a liver. But these are repeatable things. When it comes to things that are going beyond that, and even into the spiritual world, if you will, into mind, consciousness, all of a sudden the scientific method is no good. Up to a point, and then you go, don't know. Right? And I think there comes a point when our wisdom is no longer enough. Right? I don't know how we got to you. Your fault. That's right. You're talking to Charlotte. There's the angle. That's how we got it. Your fault.
I love a sentence that starts with, "Oh yeah, your fault." That's right.
sounds like you're married. What?
Yeah, that's
always my fault.
Yeah. What's it like being married? Oh, you shouldn't ask that question. Why shouldn't I ask it? Just go to your room. I love that.
Oh, is that what happened?
And yeah, that's really funny. Hey, there's some directed energy weapons that are handheld that I'm trying to put on screen here. There's a video on X that's not AI, and it's showing a great weapon there. It looks like a gun that has some kind of emission device at the front of it. It's by a military guy, and this is at the Pope's funeral. So you'll see it in the. You can't share it to you, but on the video you can definitely see it if you're watching this online. And it might be like a crowd dispersal, or it might, could be it's a non-lethal weapon by the look of it. But it's concerning if these are now handheld, because they used to be truck mounted. If that makes sense.
Thing. No, look. Yeah, the one thing we can say as a certainty is that we are really good at making things smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I went to look at getting my telephone upgraded. I haven't done it yet. I've got a Galaxy Note 20, I think. It's very old, very old. So I went to the Samsung store, looked at the Androids there, and the latest version of
really old? Wow. Yeah.
Okay. And I went to the store, looked at the latest version of it's not called an S, Galaxy S, I think, whatever. And it's got a terabyte of storage. Terabyte.
The new one.
A terabyte. Now this is my old phone, but it's the same size. There's a terabyte. Sure. And I'm thinking, what? Clearly it's solid state, because there's no disk moving in that thing, right? So there's a solid state terabyte, chip in there, and I'm thinking, that's like 1,000 movies at really good resolution, for example, right?
Sure.
And I remember buying my first SD card. I used to work to get files around.
Was it 4 gig or something?
No, we're talking megabytes, brother.
256.
That's right. It was a 250. The first one was a 256 card. And I thought, oh my God, I can put thousands of documents on here. Oh my God. I will never need anything else.
That's right. You could have gone for CEO role at IBM after that statement.
Oh, you know that. That's the truth.
No one
but yeah, I mean, it's
64K of RAM.
Yeah, but I still can't make the leap, Dave. And I know we are both in the industry. Maybe you can explain it to me in the few moments we have left. Actually, about 10 minutes, something. But maybe you can explain it to me. I look at the old machines. I'm looking at the Turing machines. I'm looking at the vacuum tube driven computing devices. I'm looking at computers that used to be housed in warehouses and that had less power than my phone, computing power and storage. I don't understand, and I've looked at this and I can't find the link. There's some labs that brought out a few things, but I don't see. I can't follow the development from that, right? From I guess transistors to some extent to micro switches in CPUs. I don't see it. I don't see the path. It was too abrupt. We went from something enormous to something much smaller, much more manageable in a very short time frame, looking at new materials as well. Because silicon opened up a whole new world for us, right? And now we're looking at other materials.
Mm-hmm.
So are we talking retro-engineered stuff? Is that really what we're looking at here?
It comes at the time when IBM was oddly right after Roswell. There was a whole bunch of NGOs stood up to reverse engineer or work on something, and each of them made declarations of brand new discoveries. Each of them. I did a timeline. I don't know where it is anymore, but I did a timeline on Roswell, and then suddenly all of these things just sprung out of thin air. Even optical fiber. When you have a non-invasive surgery, they have those prehensile tools, all of those, imaging, medical imaging. You think about all the things, not just transistors, not just the turning a valve into a piece of silicon. And what I've got on the screen right now, Mackie, which you can't see, is just a reminder that inside Minecraft, a guy made a 32-bit computer with over 1 million blocks that itself could run Minecraft.
Really?
Yeah. So in one of those really weird states where you could build a computer inside a computer. Thinking about this universe could very well be inside a simulation. And if you can build a simulation inside the simulation, then it becomes infinite. That makes sense. So Ryan Bolds, it made this project. So when you're talking about, well, what was it and what is it, and just how fast can we get things, we're seeing another huge push on how intensely rapidly that we can now have silicon making choices, making decision. The technology is getting thinner and thinner. They're looking at light now as trying to make a computer just out of light. But the error correction of the Microsoft version of their supercomputer that they made, their quantum computer, where it appears as though not all the processing took place in this universe, was their declaration. They quantumed the processing, and it looks like it may very well have taken place in another reality. Isn't that crazy?
That's what they said. They couldn't explain
it's because
computing
they can't explain
output.
It. That's exactly right.
Look, yeah, go on.
No, my point is that since they can't explain it, and it seems to have been able to use well, if I put it one way, I simplified it. It's just being able to have copies like quantum entanglement into other. Maybe it's an out of phase universe that we share this same space in. Who knows? If it's wherever it is, if that's the only way they can explain it, instead of taking 1 billion years, it just took a day or whatever it was, 20 minutes, and they had to turn it off again and went. It already found the answer. That's impossible. Couldn't possibly have taken place. I just think that's so fantastic. But what is the real meaning of this?
Look, that's an excellent question. And the truth is, and I said this before, the only thing we can say for certain is that we do not understand the nature of the universe, not the true nature of the universe. We can't explain the forces within it. We can't explain the things that are happening. We don't know why it's expanding. We don't know why gravity is such a weak force. We don't know any of these things, none of them. We don't know why the Planck length is the smallest unit. So essentially, our universe is pixelated, right?
Quantized or pixelated, yes, that's right.
Correct. Our brain apparently works in 7 or 11 dimensions. So people think our brain is actually a quantum generator.
Mm-hmm.
It makes use of quantum processes, meaning a non-locality, or it can hold more than one idea at once in your head, right? which shouldn't be possible, really. So our brain is this fascinating thing. Consciousness is fascinating. But what is consciousness anyway, right? Consciousness makes no sense. It's you can't touch it, you can't feel it. You only know the effects of it, right?
It's quite possible
makes you a prisoner.
That our quantum mind is doing the same thing as this Microsoft quantum computer that they made. Maybe we connect as a copy to our actual location that isn't here.
Yes, I think we do. Absolutely. And I think when we sleep and dream, not every dream, but not every sleep, but when we sleep and dream, a few times, and we connect to the other realms. And we because again, we said this before. When you dream, everything makes sense, right? You wake up, it doesn't make sense at all, right? There you go. Music, she is coming.
And we're gonna end the stream and start up a new stream for the second hour. And in the second hour, believe it or not, we're going to be talking about Remote Control Part 8. So stay tuned. If you're watching this, we're going to cut the stream.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.